What is up, everybody? We are back. It is post NFL draft. It's Monday, the 1st of May. Look at that. Monday, May 1st. Draft is over. We were just having a talk about kind of shitty candies that you guys like, raved licorice and dots. So if you want to leave in the comments, what are some candies that you like that everyone else hates? I like Tootsie Rolls. A lot of people hate those. So
terrible.
Tootsie Rolls are delicious. But we're here. We're not going to really recap the draft, but we're going to look at some winners and losers, not teams and winners from the actual draft, but veteran players who either won because of players that weren't drafted or were drafted on their team, and then losers mostly for players that were drafted to kind of compete against them. Didn't introduce them, but you know who I'm with. Our dad, Jeff, my brother, Brian. How's it going?
What's up, everybody?
Ready for
Boomer up.
You guys ready for the dead period of football news? I mean, once we get to post-draft, it's pretty dead until, mid-July, late July?
Yeah, we got the schedule next week on the 11th. So,
that'll give us the schedule. We got rookie drafts for Dynasty.
Yeah.
NFL. OTAs and mini camps and all that crap happening.
Yeah, the NFL has definitely learned, or they figured out the way of staying relevant basically all year long. I guess the dead period's like June to like mid-July for 4 to 6 weeks, where there's not much news. But
you get to hear about how everybody's in the best shape of their life, and we get no official injury news, unfortunately. But for guys like Breece Hall, but
yeah, we won't know until August or something. But
maybe
we're gonna kind of get into it. We'll start off positive with some winners. Brian, you want to start off with one of your winners and why you think they were a winner?
Sure. So I wrote down a few. I tried to get guys at every position, but I thought the quarterbacks are kind of easy. I feel like, basically guys who got weapons and guys that didn't lose their jobs, kind of a thing. Like Herbert. I think Lamar definitely. Like, not just because of just the draft, and I know that's what we're focused on, but he finally signed his contract and they got him another first-round wide receiver. So all's good there, I think he's a big winner. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with Zay Flowers. And yeah, I wrote down Herbert as well. Just, give him another dude to throw to. I think it's we're kind of want to stop with. You guys think?
Yeah, all the quarterbacks getting weapons there. That it definitely helps them. I wrote down my one of my winners was a quarterback as well, Jordan Love, because they just went all in and got him all these weapons, 2 tight ends and a receiver in the top 3 rounds. They also got another receiver, I think, in like the 5th round or something. So they definitely have surrounded him with some weapons, that's for sure. Dad, did you have any quarterbacks on your winners list?
No, on my winners list, I did not. I didn't. I don't know. I'm not quite seeing a winner on the quarterback list. So,
yeah. Do you want to go over one of your winners?
Yeah. About Samaje Perine of the Denver Broncos. Denver had, first off, Javonte Williams, we know, had a big knee injury last year. Samaje Perine was signed by the Broncos as free agent. Melvin Gordon and all that trash that was left over is all gone. New coach comes in. They signed Samaje Perine from Cincinnati, who looked pretty good. last year, in the second half of the season, end of the playoffs. By the way, he holds the NCAA record for yards gained in one game. It's some ridiculous number, like 350 yards or something like that. But anyway, Denver didn't draft any running backs because they had limited draft picks. They only had like 4 or 5. So Samaje Perine is the man running back wise in Denver. So he's definitely a winner.
Yeah, there was kind of a lot of that.
So is Javonte
happening.
Definitely not starting? Do we know, like, what's the latest on him?
We don't know.
Well, that's the problem. We don't know, but he had a multiple. Okay. So he had like ACL. Then they also said like, MCL and PCL and things like that. So he's probably not going to play for a little while.
Around week 6 or so. I'm trying to look it up.
We don't know.
I think it was like week 5, week 4.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm saying when it happened. Yeah, like, did it happen early, mid? Yeah. Last year.
Yeah, it was like week 4 or something. 4 or 5. Yeah, he started 4 games. So
I had another running back that's right along those same lines that like no one got added, and we saw the guy lead the NFL in rushing last year, I believe, right? Isn't that what Jacobs did?
Yep.
So Josh Jacobs, they didn't add anyone in front of him. Zamir White was there last year already. I don't remember anything free agency wise. They lost Waller. Yeah, so like they got rid of Waller. So maybe a little more targets for Jacobs. I think he's been a pretty no one's really talking about him, and I think everyone kind of feels a little different about him, like where he's gonna go. But I mean, the guy was the man last year, and he's never really been bad. So let's see what happens this year, especially if they don't add anything else.
Yeah, there was a lot of running backs who we were all worried about that had no one drafted. I mean, Pollard was someone on my list where I think we kind of expected Dallas to take a running back, maybe even in the first round, but definitely in like the top 3 rounds, and they didn't take one until I think round 7. And Deuce Vaughn, and he's the type of player, he's not going to threaten Pollard whatsoever. He'll be a playmaker maybe, but he's not going to get a bunch of carries or anything like that. Like, he's not that type of running back. So even if he has a big role on the team, like, it's not going to affect Pollard whatsoever. So it's like, I think even if Dallas drafted someone, I don't think I would have been too worried about Pollard in that first year. I mean, because we've seen him excel with Zeke getting all the goal line carries and, getting a bunch of carries. But now it's just kind of like, unless they sign, Fournette or who's the other free agent that's still out there? Kareem Hunt, Fournette, Zeke. Yeah, unless they could re-sign Zeke. That's true. But it's just kind of, it's Pollard's, it's all him, which is exciting to see, I hope.
Yeah, there was a couple of those guys that I feel like who we were kind of expecting something to be added to them, or like we kind of like saw I guess this is kind of a different situation, but I'm thinking about like Joe Mixon and Dalvin Cook, like where it's like, these guys might get traded, they might get cut, blah blah blah, and it's like I'm looking at Minnesota. They drafted Dwayne McBride in the 7th round.
Yeah, who actually could, like, if anyone's going to have a Pacheco type of 7th round out of nowhere, it's going to be Dwayne McBride. Even like a 6th, 7th round out of nowhere, it's going to be him. But chances are very low. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Put him on your list, everybody.
Yeah,
it comes with the Michael Berlin guarantee. No, And Cincy, I just pulled up theirs to see, like, because I don't remember anyone of note, but yeah, they drafted Chase Brown in the 5th, so it was kind of like, I guess you can call Cook and Mixon winners in that sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Mixon, it was. I know there was talk about Mixon being traded or being cut or something like that, but now they've kind of come out and said Cincinnati Bengals come out after the draft and said, "Oh, Joe Mixon's a Bengal," So
yeah,
that's the way we're gonna run with it right now.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising because all we heard about was, the most amazing running back draft class in 6-7 years, and
right, yeah,
all these running backs, and then there was only one more taken in the first 3 rounds compared to last year. I think last year there was 6, this year there were 7, I believe, and there was 4 less taken overall in the draft. Now I just don't know if that had something to do with there's a lot of good ones, so we just won't draft one and we'll pick one off of as an undrafted free agent. Like, I don't know. It was very strange, these running backs not really going. And, a lot of one of their favorites in Charbonnet went to Seattle with Kenneth Walker. And it's almost kind of like, well, that kind of kills him a bit. So, I don't know. It was very strange, the whole running back draft.
Speaking of Kenneth Walker, I had him as one of my losers.
Yeah, well, let's finish up with the winners, and we'll get to the losers.
Okay.
I think I said Tony Pollard and Jordan Love. Those were kind of my 2 winners. Brian, do you have any more winners?
I kind of wrote down. Okay, yeah. So I kind of organized mine by position. For receivers, I wrote down Olave. And that kind of goes outside of the draft again. Like, I feel like he got at least, if not a slight quarterback upgrade, with getting Carr, like at least a lateral move there, and nothing else really added to the wide receiver room around him, which is good. We don't know what the situation with Kamara is going to be as far as like him siphoning targets and everything. I mean, Michael Thomas is going to be there supposedly this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought he was a winner as far as a receiver went. What do you guys think?
No, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, yeah, just trying to think like who else is on that team. I know they lost Callaway to the Broncos. So it's like what, Michael Thomas and Olave are the top 2, Shaheed.
They did draft A.T. Perry in the 6th, is what I'm seeing. And I did hear, I heard his name like pop up a few times, like, and people start reaching where it's like, oh, this guy's a sleeper. Like, I don't know what you guys know about him, but it's just kind of like, all right.
Yeah. We talked about him, and I really liked him when we watched this film. We talked about him, and we talked about the wide receiver prospects. Like, he kind of seemed to have like all the tools to put it together, to be like, I don't know. This receiving class was very strange. It was a lot of like, all right, you're really good at this. You're really good as a deep threat. You're really good, slot player, and very few like, oh, you can be like an all-around star, or you can be an all-around really good receiver. There's very few of those. I actually thought A.T. Perry was one of those where I was like, oh, I could see him being like a good receiver, like a wide receiver 2, and just being like all around. Like, he doesn't do anything spectacular, but he was just kind of good at everything. So, but he's in the 6th round, so we got to like temper expectations a bit there now. So yeah, I agree. Olave for sure. I like that. Any more winners from you guys, or should we move on to?
I have a winner, maybe. And it's because he got traded, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
So going to the Philadelphia Eagles because he's the best. They were the best rushing team in the NFL last year, so
yeah,
kind of makes sense that if the guy can stay healthy, and that was the issue with his 3 years with the Lions, when he was on the field and when he was playing, he was producing and he was a weapon and all those good things. So apparently the Lions weren't good with that. He's in his last year of his contract, so they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think I read today that he told the Detroit leadership that he wanted out, so they traded him to Philadelphia. So now you got DeAndre Swift and Rashad Perry pretty much took the place of who's the guy that went to Carolina?
Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders. So I think Swift is probably a little bit of a winner in that situation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
as
soon as you leave Michigan, then you're already winning, right?
Yeah. I don't think Dad was listening. Going into some losers.
I actually had one more really good.
Another winner?
I thought a good one for tight end. Well, there was two of them actually, and we can just kind of like just mention them real quick. Where it's like, oh, nothing got added is basically the story, but and maybe you'll tell me right now, Mike, being the Chargers fan. But is Gerald Everett still on the Chargers?
Yes. Him and Perine.
Yeah. So I mean, like they didn't add a tight end. I thought it was kind of like a lot of talk about a tight end going to LA to see like what was going to happen there. Like we've kind of been waiting for that the last couple of years. So I thought Gerald Everett and then Conklin too. Same thing with the Jets. They didn't add anybody around them, and it was kind of like you could have easily seen those guys like everyone's going to be worried about them because they drafted someone in front of them. Like tight end are like one of those difficult ones where it's like you're not going to say like Kelsey's like in trouble of losing his job or anything, or so.
Yeah, the Jets have a second tight end, Uzama. So
yeah,
they had him last year.
Yeah, I just think like those guys will still be good streaming tight ends for sure.
A lot of the tight ends went to spots. I mean, not surprisingly so, but just like along the same lines, like Irv Smith is another guy. Like a lot of people thought the Bengals were gonna take a tight end, so now it's like, no, Irv Smith is like slightly intriguing. He's on the Bengals and potentially their starting tight end. Yeah. So yeah,
tight end
definitely
through 38. Like they're all the same guy, basically.
Starting off the losers, I'm going to start off with like a hot one. Travis Etienne. I've never been the biggest Etienne guy for one, so take that, take this with a grain of salt. But
I thought you were saying take that Etienne.
No, he doesn't care. But I don't know. They went out. They drafted Tank Bigsby in the third round. I really liked Tank Bigsby. Watching his tape, thought he could be like an all-around really good running back. Third round is like a legitimate spot for like, you normally, if you think you have a guy, especially a first rounder, Etienne was a first rounder, not drafted by Doug Peterson, which is what's playing into a lot of my like a little bit worried about Etienne of just like not drafted by this coaching staff. He could just not fit Peterson's system, which is like totally a possibility because football is just all about like, do you go to the right team and do you fit the right scheme like of this team? And so just to take a running back in the third round, like I know they don't have a bunch of holes on that team, but like, I don't know. It just seems like if you have a guy that you're really, I don't know, like the Giants weren't going to draft a running back very high necessarily because they have Barkley or I'm trying to think of who else is a stud. You would say the Seahawks wouldn't, but the Jets, you didn't think we're going to draft a running back because they have Breece Hall. You think, oh, you have Etienne, you're not going to draft him, but you do. And I'm just a little hesitant of like, I don't know, man. Like I can see Etienne like going to like being a 12 touch type of player and Bigsby, everyone hates Bigsby because he gets like 15 plus touches and everyone's like, "What the hell?" You know?
But no catches.
Maybe it could be just like the Antonio Gibson situation. It's like, well, this guy's good, give him the ball, and it's like, nope, doesn't fit what we want to run, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that, or if you guys are worried about.
I think that's pushing it a little bit.
I mean, I always thought like the kind of the narrative was Etienne was going to be much more of a pass catcher in general. Like not just that, but I have no idea how many catches he got last year. I probably should have been looking this up while you were talking. But yeah, like I don't know if I see it, but I mean, I do agree with you. It's a name we know that got drafted in a round that we actually care about, kind of a thing. So, I mean, anything's a threat for sure. I mean,
it's not just that.
Yeah, that 2 punch.
I mean, it's
what's that?
Doug Peterson. It's not just that. It's that he was drafted by a whole different coaching staff, and we know how that coaching staff lasted.
Well, Etienne only caught 35 passes. So he rushed for over 1,100 yards at over 5 yards a carry. So he's kind of anything but, a big pass catcher the way we see it right now. But
yeah, and I mean, we know that they're getting Ridley also this coming year, so maybe they're going to be a little bit more pass happy. But I mean, if he's going to get 220 carries, then maybe it's not that big of a deal. Like it depends on like how many.
Though.
I know. Well, I mean,
that's kind of what I'm worried about.
Right? I mean,
that was his most carries ever. Like he in college, he hardly had over 200 carries. And like, it was kind of the narrative. Like he had a couple big games at the end, but it was like, yeah, he had like 3 really good games in the middle, and then from weeks 10 to 17, he had like 2 good rushing games, and that was it. And I just feel like potentially the team doesn't, like 17 for 32 is not great, and I don't know, it's just one game, but I just feel like there's a possibility there. That's just all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I guess the point that I was trying to get at with like the Ridley thing was like maybe the pass game will be even better and it'll make the run game a little bit easier, kind of a thing. Because like if they become like much more of a pass happy team, like maybe it kind of like takes guys out of the box, kind of a thing, is what I was thinking. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Dad, who's one of your losers?
Are we sticking on running backs or different positions?
No, I think we'll try and keep it to just 2 each.
Yeah.
So whatever your 2 favorite.
So, loser, tight end, Dawson Knox. And for the Buffalo Bills. And the reason is, look who they drafted in the first round, Dalton Kincaid. The funny thing is about Dawson Knox is he has like a contract for another 2 to 3 years. So it's not like they're going to get rid of him or he's fallen out of favor or low production. But sure enough, the Bills, they even traded up to punk out the Dallas Cowboys. and that was pretty good, by the way. And they drafted Dalton Kincaid. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, you stole my my other loser, by the way.
Oh my God!
No, it's true. They just signed him to a big contract. I mean, I think Dalton Kincaid's going to be more of just like their slot guy, kind of like Gesicki in Miami. But I mean, for sure, like, yeah, Dawson Knox is a loser because of Kincaid being drafted. No, I agree with it. I mean, I think he'll still be there and he could catch some touchdowns, but you're going to need him to catch 9 touchdowns like he did in 2021 to be even close to relevant. And even then, I'm not sure how relevant he's going to be. So,
Yeah, I mean, you're not taking the second tight end on like. I mean, I don't even care if it is Buffalo, and honestly, we don't know that he's the second tight end, but it just muddies the waters just enough where it's kind of like I don't know if I want either one of these guys, kind of a thing. Like Kincaid and Dynasty for sure, I can see it, but it's still kind of like I don't know if I'm drafting either one of them in redraft, honestly, until I see something like. I feel like he's like around like 15, like, all right, like I'll take a third tight end or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, you can change that name out with like 20 other guys, and it's going to be kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Brian, who's one of your losers?
Well, I thought Malik Willis lost a lot, right?
He never gained anything.
For sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you didn't have anything to lose, and you still lost it somehow. But I mean, yeah, I mean, Tennessee moving up specifically to take the quarterback 4 in the second round, like in Will Levis, it's kind of like, all right, well, never mind Malik Willis. Everyone who picked him up in Dynasty last year, it's kind of like, well, forget it. I mean, I still don't think you should drop him. Like, I'm not dropping him because I was that guy in our league. I think it'll be interesting to see if he goes anywhere, if anyone thinks anything of him, or, you know, he's not a hard hold for sure. But I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say drop him, just pick up whoever, I guess.
He's going to the XFL.
Yeah, which... That's where it goes. You still get fantasy points for that. So he was kind of a loser when they decided to like start. Who's it? Josh Dobbs over him when they were in the playoff hunt. Yeah. Well, they're trying to make it to the playoffs, and they're like, "Oh, we're benching Malik for Josh Dobbs in Week 16, even though we really need to win this game." It's like shit. Like. For Josh Dobbs, like
that's all you need to hear right there.
Yeah, it sucks though. Like you want to see him develop at least. Maybe but you also want to see like I don't necessarily think he's going to be good, but like it sucks that a team just takes you, and then I don't know. Like you would hope they would try and develop you a little bit.
Well, look,
maybe he just doesn't have it
now. Will Levis is in the way, so.
Well, that's my point. I'm saying like you would just hope. They would give him a chance, at least a chance, but
he sucks that bad. So
he just might. I remember, you actually just said that exact same thing. Not that he sucks so bad, Dad, but like you said, like, well, we haven't even seen what he did yet when we were talking about him about 3 weeks ago or something. We're talking about Malik Willis.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, but you do have to listen to the NFL to see what they're telling you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the problem is we don't get to see practice and things like that. You know, all we get to do is based upon our, opinions on what we hear and what we read and stuff like that. So it just goes to show you, like Mike says, they pull a guy off the, sacking groceries of Josh Dobbs. You got to win this game, dude, so we can get into the playoffs. And, because what's his face sucks. Malik Willis.
Yeah.
That should tell you all right there. And then they just drafted a guy in front of him. So Tannehill's going to stay there. Probably number 2 is going to be Levis, and the rest, so he's toast. Yeah. Malik Willis. Yep. Go somewhere else. Go to the Raiders.
We'll do one more for you guys each. We'll kind of try to make it quick so we can wrap it up. Dad, who's your last loser?
Tyler Allgeier.
Stole someone else's.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Pretty self-explanatory. You draft the best running back supposedly in the draft, Bijan Robinson. So Tyler Allgeier, who was coming on big time near the end of the season, he had like 34 carries in his last game. So he's going to be part of the equation. Is he going to be fantasy relevant? Boy, that remains to be seen.
I mentioned it. Might have been in our review of the first round with me and Brian, but basically just saying like this is the perfect example of why you don't buy running backs before the draft in Dynasty, before the draft in the offseason when they're not really guaranteed. You don't really know what they're guaranteed. And then B, like, also maybe think about, I have a 5th rounder that he looked good. He didn't look spectacular. I know he ran for 1,000 yards, but again, that's 50, 60 yards a game. Like maybe think about trading him.
Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe think about capitalizing on those because it all could go away that quickly. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory there.
Well, I mean, I kind of wonder. What were you really gonna get for Tyler Allgeier? Like,
yeah,
maybe,
I mean,
I'd really be shocked if someone was gonna give you like a late first for him or anything like that. And it's like if you're getting like a 2nd round pick, it's kind of like, yeah, you probably made a little bit there, like where you drafted him. But it's kind of like, I don't know who you're getting in the 2nd round that you feel that much better about.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's more if someone loved them or something. But Brian, who's your? Do you have another? I know Dad stole yours, so do you have another loser or?
Well, this guy I thought was kind of interesting, and I'm kind of curious. Like, 'cause I know you guys took a little bit deeper dive into like the receivers and everything like that, but this guy could be kind of cause like I'm curious to hear who you guys think is the loser from Marvin Mims going to Denver in the 2nd round. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you guys think that means for the receiving core there in general? Do you think it means anything? Like, who's the loser there? Is it Sutton? Is it Dulcich? I mean, is he just like an extra guy? Is it Tim?
I have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that.
Just based upon what happened today.
Okay.
They signed Jerry Jeudy to his 5th year. His 5th year contract. So
I didn't hear
Sutton.
that.
So who's? I know that's only good for 1 year and stuff like that. Tim Patrick's coming back from an ACL. I think he's slightly a little older guy. So who's the odd man out? Maybe Sutton,
Yeah, I thought Dad, when we recapped day 2, I thought Dad made a good point in saying that was Denver's first pick in the whole draft too. They traded up for it, and that they didn't have a 1st round pick. They didn't have an earlier 2nd, so they literally traded up and targeted in a seemingly full wide receiver room of Patrick, Jeudy, Sutton, Hamler, like, Dulcich, if you want to add him into that, like a seemingly pretty good receiving room. Also, Marquez Callaway they brought him over from the Saints. Sean Payton's last year, Callaway was the Saints' number 1 receiver, by the way, so he could have some play this year. So I just think, Sean Payton has his guys that he trusts and to run his system, and I don't know if either Jeudy or I think Sutton's I think they'll probably both be there, but I don't know if either one of those guys are Sean Payton likes very much. I think Mims is going to be, if he replaces anyone, it's going to be like KJ Hamler's kind of production of like that deep threat guy this first year.
Yeah.
Mims is a little bit faster of a guy, which could also affect Sutton as well. But
yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say like who's going to be affected because basically they all sucked last year. Like, just the Broncos in general. So like, I feel like we can't necessarily fall into the trap of like, well, they're definitely going to have 2 good receivers and a tight end. It's just kind of like, got to temper the expectations a little bit.
For sure. And Russ just could be cooked, like that's always a possibility. There's rumors basically out there saying by some pretty trusted like Broncos guys, I would say, saying like, I don't think Sean Payton would have taken this job if he wasn't guaranteed to be allowed to move on from Russell Wilson after this year, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't do that. Now, is that true or not? Who knows? But if he really just sucks, like, just could be a whole nother repeat of last year. So,
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like the other like elephant in the room is like the whole, Charbonnet going like against like Ken Walker.
I
right?
think it does not much for Ken. Like, it more sucks for Charbonnet than I don't think it's really going to change much for Ken Walker, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we
just
kind of touched on that, but
I know Dad brought up, Ken Walker. I don't see it. Like, I really, really don't see it. It's either going to be Seattle runs the hell out of the ball, or it's going to be like 65% Ken Walker, 35% Charbonnet. That's kind of how I think it's going to. Especially this first year.
Then they just drafted the best wide receiver in the draft of Jackson Smith-Njigba. So it's kind of crazy to try and figure out who is fantasy relevant in that. So
I think this first year,
a dynasty guy, I wouldn't have a problem taking Charbonnet
when
in a draft.
But like first round, second round.
One or two. I'd take him late first or early two. That's just me.
I'm not taking him in the first round. I'm out.
Okay.
I am out. But actually, we'll talk about that later this week. I hope to get these two guys together. We can put together maybe like a round by round mock draft videos, and maybe we'll go live a couple more times. We got quite a few views on.
I don't want to give all my secrets away.
Yeah, don't worry. No one important's listening from our league. I'm
definitely not listening.
Why should you? You're always in last place. So
we are 13 subscribers away from 150, which is pretty awesome. Feels like we just kind of hit 100 not too long ago. So that's pretty cool. I hope to get to maybe like 200-ish by, let's say, training camp starts. So that'd be a nice little goal for us. But other than that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Any last words for you two?
I'll change my background if we get to 150 subscribers.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're definitely going to get there. So we'll start. And Dad will stop. He'll read the show sheet if we get to 200.
Just make sure you learn how to draft.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
We will see.
There's always next year.
But that's the motto of Dynasty. There's always next year. But we're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you did like the video, subscribe. Catch you guys next time.